Ember Witch. Book 1. The Lich. Volume 1. Black Tragedy. Chapter 4. Black Tragedy. September 19, 459 BME to October 31, 461 BME. Fragment 50. The Ashlanders. Lord Darrow stood in shock as the sky turned a rainbow hue and watched as fire plunged downward.
Gathering, we are under attack.
He screamed as the thousands of fireballs crashed down to the campsite. Mass amounts of tents caught fire while hundreds of Orson began burning alive. Men, women, and children screamed as their flesh burned away from their bodies. Neela and Cress, still out of their minds, simply watched the sky in awe. Darrow sprinted forward and pulled them from the stage. He ran them past burning bodies and tents as they tried to push away from him.
You fucking animals, get over here,
he said as he pulled them towards his tent. He rushed forward, pulling his collar around himself as he came to his burning tent. He threw Cress and Neela to the ground, then pulled his power forward. In a torrent of energy, the tent stopped burning. He ran forward and began throwing his belongings in search of the bottle of antidote. He found it under the part of the tent that had collapsed in the fire, then ran back out to see Cress and Neela kissing near a corpse. He shoved them apart and opened the bottle as another blast of energy sang out in the distance. He pried Neela's mouth open and poured the liquid down her throat.
Swallow it,
he yelled, then moved to Cress, who had begun grinding her pelvis against the sand. He shoved the bottle in her mouth, then dragged her across the sand to Neela. Another mass of fire rained down upon the gathering as Darrow dragged the two drugged women across the camp.
Find those bastards,
Darrow screamed, and a large group of Orson began fanning out. He needed to get out of the center of the camp. He was surrounded by fire and death, and all he could think about was getting these two firemen out of harm's way. It was his mistake that he didn't take Neela seriously, and now he had to get them away from the camp.
They are broken. Move in,
Zine said, and her tribe of Orson charged forward. Thousands of bloodthirsty Ashlanders fell upon the gathering in ecstasy. Telrin stayed at her side as he watched the chaos unfold. He had been building this army for almost 20 years, and seeing it now on the move brought a smile to his face. After years of breathing ash and living amongst these savages, he was finally able to witness his plan come to reality.
The gathering was a pointless waste of time. Every 6 years we party until we can't stand, then kill each other for sport. When I stand amongst the survivors, I will rebuild the Orson into something greater than a pack of horny savages,
Zine said as she watched the thousands of Orson clash against each other. She could hear the sound of screaming, feel the mass surges of color exploding across the burning sands.
I will ensure that you hold a place on my king's council as I promised. You have my word, Lord Zine,
Telrin said, and she turned to him.
You have shown me that this land was not meant to be split as it is. My people deserve more than an ash-covered wasteland. Do not go against your promise or I will destroy your entire island,
Zine said, and Telrin bowed his head.
You have nothing to worry about, my lord. My king honors every deal he makes.
He then turned back to the battlefield before them. A horde of Orson clashed together in a flurry of color and blood. Arms, legs, heads, and guts scattered across the blue sand. Screaming and crying mixed with the clash of steel and color into an orgy of sound so incomprehensible it turned to white noise. Bodies littered the ground as tents burned to ash. Lord Darrow had managed to drag Cress and Neela to the outskirts of the camp, but was now standing before 20 Ashlanders. His neon purple color shining across his blood-soaked skin as he fought off the swarm of warriors. He slashed and struck, clashed and deflected blow after blow until he could no longer move. He looked back to the two firemen who were slowly coming to their senses and frowned. He knew that he had failed. He had been too arrogant, and now he would pay the price. A blade pierced his heart as he looked to the half-naked fireman he had broken, then his body fell to the sand. Neela crawled backwards in horror as she watched Darrow die. She was beginning to feel again, but her mind still swirled with lust and ecstasy. The Orson fell upon her and she scrambled to her feet. Cress rolled over to her stomach and watched as Neela sprinted away. She felt a kick land heavy into her side and she coughed up a large pile of vomit. As the poison left her mouth, her senses erupted into a blinding fire. She could hear everything, feel every bit of magic that spread out across the camp. She pulled her collar around herself at the last moment, rolled onto her back, then plunged a yellow blade through the chest of an Orson that had attempted to jump on top of her. His blood drained down the blade and soaked her fur. She pushed the corpse off, then stood up and took off in the direction Neela had gone. She ran as fast as she could, screaming Neela's name as the Orson chased after her. The chaos before her played out like a dream. Death, blood, screaming, crying, and fire surrounded her. Neela tripped over the corpse of a child that had been impaled by an arrow. She scrambled across the sand as an Orson male laughed. He reached down and grabbed Neela by the throat, holding her pinned to the ground. She tried to kick and thrash, but the strength of the Orson was too much for her to handle. As Neela watched the Orson smile at her pain, a yellow blade plunged through his stomach. The grip on her throat loosened and the body fell on top of her. Cress threw the body off as Neela screamed in horror.
"Come on, we have to leave,"
Cress yelled out, then pulled Neela from the ground. Cress led Neela past hundreds of clashing Orson and bodies towards the edge of the camp. Her yellow aura flowing out in a sphere around them. Neela was crying at the sight of massacre washed around them.
"We need to find the Yelvin,"
Cress called out as she scanned the campground. Neela turned her head and tried to kiss Cress, but was pushed to the side as Cress avoided a spell that had been shot out from a larger fight off to their right.
"Fuck."
Cress yelled out, then pulled Neela to her feet again.
"Neela, snap out of it,"
she screamed as they ran past another band of Orson.
"What is happening?"
Neela asked as Cress shot out a dart that exploded into an Orson that had begun charging towards them.
"The Ashlanders are attacking the gathering,"
Cress answered, then pulled her across a bleeding female who was grasping at her throat, choking on her own blood.
I don't understand,"
Neela said back and looked around to the destruction before her. Cress looked to her with sadness in her eyes.
"We were dragged and forced to do things. The Orson are killing each other because of the Yelvin spy. We need to stop them,"
Cress said, and Neela shook her head.
"I can't think straight,"
she said, and Cress frowned.
"Let's leave. Get out of here before we die,"
Neela said as Cress helped her past another burning tent.
"We will need a camel,"
Cress said as she scanned the camp. They were nearing the outskirts in the opposite direction of the main battle line. Cress hoped beyond belief that they could locate one before they were overrun again.
"There,"
Neela said as she pointed towards the edge of the camp. A lone camel was screeching in fear as the tent it was tied next to burned. Cress smiled and pulled Neela quickly to the camel.
"Stay here and rest while I calm it down,"
Cress said as she laid Neela down on the ground. She approached it calmly, holding her hands up.
"It's okay, I'll get you out of here. Please calm down, it's going to be okay,"
she said as the camel watched her inch closer. She placed her hand to its body and pressed her collar forward. The camel calmed down as she projected thoughts of peace into its mind. She untied it, then walked it over to Neela. She helped Neela up, then mounted it herself.
"Let's get out of here,"
Cress said into Neela's ear, then kicked, which caused the camel to begin sprinting off into the desert. The air was freezing. Despite this fact, Neela and Cress kept a steady pace.
"I can't hold it anymore,"
Neela said as she held her stomach.
"Shit. Hold on, I'll get you down,"
Cress said as she slowed the camel. She quickly jumped down to the frigid blue sand, then pulled Neela down. She vomited into the sand and then began to cry. Cress knelt down and ran her hand across Neela's back.
"Are you going to be okay?"
she asked in concern for her sister.
"Yes. I just need a minute."
Neela replied through her tears. She had never experienced something like this before. Not only had she been drugged to the point of it poisoning her, but she had been sexually assaulted, humiliated and disrespected in front of the entire Orson race. They would never respect the Firen people again, and it was all her fault. If only she was stronger. If only she could have fought back. Now she was vomiting her guts out while on the run from a clan of warriors void bent on killing and brutalizing everything in their path.
Come on Neela, we need to keep moving. We have to get back to Myopia and inform Kaisha of what's coming,
Cress said, helping Neela to her feet.
You're right,
She replied, trying to keep her mind focused despite the toxins rampaging through her system. Her guess is that she had ingested more of the poison than Cress had. That or Cress's many years of poison experience had helped her fight them off. Whatever reason, she knew that if they didn't hurry, the Orson would find them. Getting back onto the camel with the help of Cress, she braced herself for another few hours of non-stop riding. As the sun rose over the blue sands, Lord Zine stepped through the carnage. Thousands of bodies laid around her as the fires burned out, spilling smoke into the sky. Telrin walked beside her as the Ashlanders gathered around. They had slaughtered over half of the other tribes, which now sat in the grasp of her hands.
My fellow Orson, we have killed each other far too many times. We have fought over these lands for far too long. I refuse to see this happen again. Follow me to a new future or die here and now.
She yelled out, and a mass of Orson bowed to her. The ones that refused to bow were quickly struck down, leaving more blood to stain the blue sand.
From this day forward we share this land as one tribe.
She yelled out, and a thunderous echo of cheering sang out into the morning sky.